Until I set up a new record by scoring 127 centuries, I don't think that even I fully realised how widespread was the interest in the doings of our county cricketers in general, and myself in particular. From the highest to the lowest, I have received the most flattering and encouraging manifestations of goodwill, and many that testify to an interest in what His Majesty the King called our national game that extends far outside the regular patrons of cricket, numerous as they are. At the start of the cricket season of 1925, I had little expectation that by the middle of August I would score the centuries necessary to improve upon Dr. W.G. Grace's record. In May, I had just returned from a strenuous season in Australia. Not so severe, however, as it might have been, thanks to the kindly consideration shown to me by our popular captain, Mr. A.E.R. Gilligan. Indeed, when I landed home, I was actually fitter and in better general health than I had been for some time. The first 3 months of our season were favoured with good cricketing weather. The wickets were made for run-getting. I was batting as well as ever I did, and I got off to a flying start. All things working together for good, the centuries came with an ease that surprised myself. Even when the press began to display a more than usually active interest at the approach of the record-breaking century, I could honestly say that I faced each innings with no more nervousness than at any other stage of my cricket career, and I was never troubled much in that way. It was only when my friends, more eager and anxious than myself, overwhelmed me with good wishes before each innings and condoled with me over what the press called my failures to get the 126th century, that I realized that, like other mortals, nerves were part of my constitution. I can remember only one previous occasion on which I was as nervous as when I went in that Monday morning at Taunton to get the faithful 9 runs to complete the 100. That was when I was going into bat in the 5th Test match at Sydney in 1921, when, following certain incidents with which I had but an indirect connection, the great crowd, to show their sympathy with me, gave me such a surprising ovation that before I reached the wicket, my knees were positively shaking. I recovered only when, by some good luck, I hit the first ball for 4. The completion of that 126th century at Taunton was a great relief to me, and I was staggered at the number and heartiness of the congratulations that reached me. But while the interest of press and public should have been so concentrated on the 126th century, I am still puzzled to know. To me, the 127th century was and is the more important. The 126th but equaled record. The next one set up a new record. However, the jubilation and relief of my friends and the more restrained attitude of the press probably reacted upon myself. Then the scoring of runs presented no more difficulty than when I was untroubled with the nightmare of records. I knew that with several seasons more of county cricket before me, the 127th hundred was bound to come along. Freedom from mental strain was probably the reason why it was not delayed. It came on the following day at Taunton, and certainly, until I reached 90, I have seldom batted with greater confidence. I was so unconcerned that I remember, when in the 90s, smiling to myself over an amusing recollection. speculating on the possibility of getting out, I fell to wondering whether the incoming batsman would be so absent-minded as the old Surrey cricketer, Ernie Hayes, on one occasion at Leighton, when, busy fastening his batting gloves, he had nearly reached the wicket before he discovered he had gone out without a bat. But I stayed to make the 100, the second in the match. Now, I have no greater superstition than the average man, but as a final matter of interest, I will confess that the number of my room at the hotel at Thornton was 37, and I have, from early youth, regarded 37 as my lucky number. Also, throughout the whole match against Somerset, I carried in my pocket a 4-leaf clover which had been sent to me by a lady member of the Surrey County Cricket Club. I think it is matter for congratulation generally that the public interest in cricket, despite the many counter-attractions nowadays, is probably greater than ever, and that there are many indications that the standard of play is gradually getting back to an equality with the best periods of the past.